Good morning. My name is Cindy Cinegrove. I'm the Gifted Education Specialist here at Colbert Middle School. My task is to provide additional rigor to our most advanced students here at Colbert, and with our close proximity to the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, that's about 1/3 of our students. So I serve them in the core areas of math, science, social studies, and language arts through differentiation. We do pull-in and push-out models, as well as collaboration with the teachers, and I serve all 3 grade levels here at Colbert. So I'm in contact with a lot of students, and this device is a godsend. So one of the things that I like to do enrichment with students is to incorporate several different subject areas at once, and I can mix social studies and language arts very effectively through the use of primary source documents. It's a high level of learning for students to be accessing primary source documents. It helps encourage critical thinking. It helps encourage discriminating reading skills, and we use that in all grade levels here. So I'm going to show you one Apple application on the iPod Touch that we use, and one internet application that we can use. The first one is an application called America Light. This is a free app on the iPod Touch, and I'll call it up right here. America Light has more information than you could ever hope to learn about our country. There is background information, discoveries, documents, events, memorials, natural wonders. It goes on and on. We're going to look at documents today. So I'm just going to touch documents, and it'll come right up. With our 8th graders, we have done for several years an exercise in comparing and contrasting 2 formative documents for our nation, Common Sense by Thomas Paine, and I can just touch Common Sense, and it's broken into categories, and we look particularly at the state of affairs and at the issue of monarchy and succession, which I can call up for you, and there's the text, and students can follow along and read with the text, and it's as simple as just scrolling up, and they can read Thomas Paine's Common Sense in its entirety, or we can focus on particular sections. I find that in using the digital technology rather than handing out pages and pages of paper, students take more discriminating notes. When you hand a middle school student a 4-page handout and tell them to highlight it, you usually get back a yellow handout. But when you hand them an iPod Touch and they're looking at information digitally on the screen and you say, take some notes of what's important, they will not copy the whole thing down. They will look for the important information and take a few discriminating notes and really pick out the material that is important from the document. So we're not only saving trees, but we're developing thinking skills and not just using up highlighters. We did a compare and contrast activity with Common Sense and the Declaration of Independence, which is also right here. And students were able to take some notes, do Venn diagrams, compare and contrast, and talk about what's the more radical document and what things were borrowed from Common Sense that kind of made their way into the Declaration. It's a very useful tool for our 8th graders as they study American history and North Carolina history. Another tool that we use, and of course I'm going to go to the FDR's Day of Infamy speech that I used with 6th graders who were studying World War II. They were reading novels pertaining to World War II, and I was working with a group in particular that was reading about the Japanese front and Pearl Harbor. So we wanted to listen to FDR's Day of Infamy speech as a primary source document, and this activity was comparing and contrasting the impact of a speech that you hear and listen to versus written text. So students first read the speech on the iPod Touch, and we have, back up just a little bit. I have the speech here. This is the whole context of the speech, but there it is. So they're able to read the entire speech on the internet, and then we went to the audio, and they were able to listen to President Roosevelt actually delivering the audio address, the original radio broadcast. And I'm going to play that for you just a little bit.
The capital of the United States, December 8, 1941. Today, the Congress of the United States convenes in a solemn joint session. A session that will hear the President of the United States deliver his message that will ask for a declaration of war with Japan.
I'm going to skip forward just a little bit till we get to an interesting part here.
I believe that I interpret the will of the
Congress and of the people when I assert that we will not only defend ourselves to the uttermost, but will make it very certain that this form of treachery shall never again endanger us.
Kind of gives you a chill, doesn't it? And that's the reaction that the students had. They found that the audio version of the speech was much more, had a much greater impact than the written version, and we were able to do a compare and contrast and have some dialogue about that. So those are just two simple applications for use for language arts and social studies that I have done with students on the iPod Touch, one using an Apple application and one just using the internet to go and find the radio address.